What is the difference between Kshanti and Kshama? Yeah, related. They're not different per se. Kshanti is like the umbrella here. Kshanti. Any attitude which involves completely accepting some level of acceptance of an undesirable situation. Let's be even more specific. Undesirable situation. I don't reject any pleasant or situation. Nobody rejects that. Only unpleasant situations, right? Only undesirable situations we reject. And so we fight, we resist. And so without resistance, I say, okay, this is how it's meant to be. Okay, let go. If I can say let go and then forget about it, great. Otherwise, I have to make a deliberate effort to let go. Shama is generally used, Shama is used in relationships where where somebody is asking for pardon. Look at that. Somebody is saying, excuse me, I'm sorry, and I should not have done it. Now, what do I do? Somebody told us that. What do we do? Now the ball is in our court, correct? Our court. Somebody's asked us to excuse them. And now you're put in a spot. Because previously I'm reacting. And now somebody says, I'm sorry also, they've said. And so now I have to think through what am I going to do? Okay, yeah, I understand that was a mistake. And so you realize it's a mistake. Okay, so try not to repeat that again. And no, it's okay. I did. I mean, I was upset, no doubt. But you have to say something. You have to say something. But that something ideally should be something that where the account is closed and there is the relationship is back to normal. So sometimes they use kshama there, and uh, they use kshama as a synonym for kshanti also. Kshama, ksham, kshantavyam. So it is to be accepted. Titiksha, accept it, deserve it is. Whether it's going to be hot for the next 3 months, just accept it. Don't fight it out. People are like that here in the city. Yeah, that's how it is. Accept it. So, Kshama. So, similar, very similar meaning. All right, Bhagyashri. Go ahead.
Hey, Kumarji, about the autism, there is much literature and publicized material linked to genetics, majority of the time.
Oh.
And some of the things like environmental factors also is not completely proven. There is hypothesis. But I have not come across whether the parents did not give enough time for the kid causing the autism. It may cause some of the behavioral abnormalities like anxiety, rebellion attitude, and it can cause, but not autism. Any comments?
No, fair enough. No, I mean, medical literature is critical, and so it could be, yeah, maybe, yeah, behavioral abnormalities can be there, and yeah, that's good to know. That's good to know, and maybe that person did not tell me the whole story, and so
Even the twin studies show that there is a possibility of both the twins can be autistic. That supports genetic theory, genes variation. There are more than 100 genes there identified causing the autism. And then some of the artistic characters could be very beneficial, and some like some of the geniuses, like what happened to Raymond or something. There was a movie, Tom Cruise, and then another guy, his brother, he was autistic, but he could able to guess which is the winning card in the next when you go to Las Vegas. It could be some beneficial.
Called
But
Rain Man.
generally, yeah,
Rain Man. Yeah.
Raymond, yes. That's interesting phenomena. The second one I have it is my understanding that in Christianity, they say whatever the sins they commit, they go to church and confession. That's it. And Islam, as you said, they don't even believe in ahimsa. But it was my understanding that our Vedanta and Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma, purely we believe in ahimsa, and the certain things maybe I must have misinterpreted is once you do something which is not uh, right, then you can go and do the prayaschita. Then can we get away with that one? My opinion was, my understanding was, do not do anything harm, knowingly or unknowingly, as per our Vedanta. What is the interpretation? Is there any room for prayaschita in our Vedantic society, this one literature?
Yeah, definitely. So Prayaschitta, there are four types of karma, right? One
Yes.
is Nishiddha karma, don'ts, don'ts. And then there is Nitya karma, Naimittika karma, do's. Okay. And then there is something called Prayaschitta karma. Fourth type of karma is called Prayaschitta, which is important because karma is an action which is going to produce a result. There is a cause, there is an effect. Whenever there is an effect, there must be another karma, an opposite force that can stop that result from happening or that can minimize that result from happening, minimize the severity of the result. Like somebody falls, and then if you fall on a bungee, not a bungee, what is it called? The trampoline. Then nobody gets hurt. Shock absorber is there, okay, or a sponge. So that prayaschitta karma is like a shock absorber. Okay, it minimizes the final impact on the person. And so prayaschitta karma is actually quite very important in our tradition. And so they will tell you things like there are prayaschitta homas available, and then there are prayaschitta other karmas like doing anga pradakshina. Anga pradakshina means you roll on your body.
Yes. Yes.
Roll, just roll. Go to the temple,
Some
go around the temple.
self-help.
Don't by walk by, but roll.
Mm.
Many people do this. You see people doing it all the time. So that's a prayaschitta karma. Or you give dhanam, feed 100 people, feed 1,000 people. Do that. That's the prayaschitam for this. Okay. Like this, we have to consult people on what the prayaschitta karma is for certain things. But it's definitely a way to minimize the guilt that we will otherwise have. Correct?
But does it not lead to uh, do the unwanted, things? Like a lot of people, they, especially some politicians, not all of them, they accumulate so much, and then they go to Tirupati, and then one of the politician, he made like a diamond kirita for Venkateshwara, and then telling that this is my prasthita.
Yeah. So the question, Rameshji's question is abusing the system.
Yes, sir.
Oh, whatever I can do whatever I want, and I can even get away with it by doing some prayaschitta. Okay. This is not called this is by making it worse actually. Making it worse. It's abuse of the system. And so no, that if somebody does that, that guy has to be told. He has to be told, you're not getting anything. Venkateshwara is not going to help you. You are going to suffer. The abuse you're doing, the amount of money you're stealing from people is not acceptable. And just by putting a diamond kirita for your Venkateshwara is not going to do it. You're repeatedly doing it. We thought you really repented, but you really did not repent. You're not at all repenting. Somebody has to
It's
tell it
more
that.
of a arrogance than the repentance. Okay,
Yeah.
I give this one, and then okay, I'm done with this. I can keep on doing the same thing,
Yes.
and that is not a good role model. It's not a good role model.
Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
That won't work. People won't agree. People won't agree to that. Even average people will not agree with all that because they will sense it. Yeah, this is an abuse of the system. No, it's available for us. Inadvertently, we recognize that we did a mistake. Then, okay, yes, I'm very serious about it. Then, yeah, prayaschitta, do the prayaschitta.
Thank you. It's purely uh, by mistake, accidental things it out of our control. If it happens, then directly or indirectly we are responsible. Then do the prasithya rather than intentionally doing something bad for their own benefit and then do the prasithya. It is not allowed, but accidentally if it happens, it is allowed. Right?
Yeah, yeah. And
Thank
uh, and maybe even intentionally done before, but later on realized, oh, I did it
you. Yes.
intentionally. And that is also wrong. That was wrong.
Yes.
I should not have done. So that's also there. And so it's a warped idea of dharma, twisting dharma completely inside out. And then, so it is not even dharma at that point. Yeah,
Thank you,
Premaji.
Jay Kumarji. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, Premaji.
Um, one talks of wrongdoings which were done deliberately, but you said that there is nothing like doing something wrong without knowing it. That was our last discussion in the last class. And what I was thinking of was one is repentance, one, which is the prayashchittam, and the wrongdoings. There are two things going on simultaneously. Now, in the case of people who pierce their bodies as prayashchittam, or I don't know what some say it's mind over matter, and the body does not bleed, the body does not react to hooks and spears and things like that. So how do I understand that as to how are these people repenting and doing things to their body, which is again ahimsa, and having pardon for the stuff that they have done knowingly? Could you hear me, Guruji, or
Yeah.
is it
So your
cutting?
question, no,
Because
your
here it
question,
is.
no, I got it. So your question is, what do you have any comments on that one particular type of prayaschitta karma where one willingly, knowingly hurts one's own body? Okay, by
Mm-hmm.
poking the tongue, they do all kinds of things. And they do all kinds of things. And now we don't advise those kinds of things because the intention is good, which is I want to make amends. And what are you making amends for is the question. See, if it's a relationship and then I've wronged somebody, then I can approach that person and then try to sort it out. Okay, that's possibility is there. But suppose the person has passed away.
Mm-hmm.
Many years ago it happened, and I feel guilty now. Then how do you deal with that situation? You can't make amends with somebody who's passed away, right? And so they have all these prashita karmas for that. But I think in some places they do this, piercing and this and that they do. And now there is some piercing, etc., which is not part of prashita karma. It is part of rituals itself. And every year rituals happen. In Tamil Nadu, you see it.
Oh.
They walk over coal, red hot charcoal. They run over it. They walk over it.
Mhm.
During Sabarimala and all, they do it. Before going to Sabarimala, they do all this. And there are other festivals where they do it. And then there are people who will hang
Garudan Duke.
hooks. Ah, ama.
Hmm?
There are hooks on his body, and then
I didn't hear that.
he's hanging from the top. Okay, with hooks on the body. Okay, they do. These are all part of this cultural festivals. They do. Some people volunteer to do that, so they get some energy to do it. I don't think that is priced. What they are doing there is not priced. It's they feel they get that energy. Get energy, that divine energy they get, and say, I can do it. I can run on hot coal, hot charcoal, red hot charcoal. Like that, somebody comes and says they do it, and you look at their legs, nothing happens. Nothing is there. How does this happen? We don't know. And some people will say, even something happens to my legs, it's okay. I'll suffer it because it's in my expression of bhakti. They think it's an expression of bhakti, devotion to this devata, Kanika Parameshwari or whatever. Correct? So Devi Bhakti. So much is there. Because bhakti, you can't stop somebody from expressing bhakti in their own way. And this is their way of saying, I'm not hurting anybody. I can do it. God has given me the strength to do this. Walk on coal or walk on water. Something, something like that. So I think that's a different category. But we don't want people to hurt their bodies and all. No, it's not. That's the better way to do prayaschitta is just deal with the situation directly. That's why this Christian thing of what do you call that? Asking for pardon. What do you call that? There's a word for it. Confession.
Confession.
Confession. This
Confession.
confession, we don't accept. We don't accept. You can't rob somebody in the morning and then confess in the evening. That won't act. We won't accept that. That's not acceptable. That's why we say, hey, you destroyed people all over the world. You went and destroyed religions, and then you come and confess. Did you ever confess to the people whose livelihoods you destroyed, whose culture you destroyed, and civilizations are gone? What about those people? The people who have been wronged? No, no, no. This confession thing we don't accept at all. It may work in some small situation, that's okay, but we don't accept confession because because if confession were real, you will not repeat the mistake. But no, you do the same thing again. You confess, and then you come back and do the same thing. Confess, come back and do the same thing, and we don't accept. Now, this confession is a very dangerous thing. It may work in some instances. I don't deny that at all. But I'm saying the crimes that were committed by the West on the entire humanity, Africa gone, India gone, the whole Asia is gone, and we are trying to pick up the pieces and come up. We're trying to figure out who we are. That's how brainwashed we have become. And then confess. They have all confessed and they're all moksha. They're all enlightened people now. We are the people who are suffering. Ye kya baat hai? So this confession and all, we don't, we don't go anywhere near that. We need to be clear. I even told in one church meeting, I mentioned it. Guys, we don't. Confession is a dangerous thing. I mentioned in a church, in a big church where there were many religions sitting, there was some discussion. I told them, guys, we don't believe in confession. How do you explain all this cultural genocide that has happened? Who's paying for it? Did you talk to the people? Did you talk to the victims or not? That's what I'm interested in. I think no God will excuse this kind of genocide. No God can excuse. No confession can undo the wrong that was done. That's what I told them. We need to be clear. These are all good devices. These are all good devices, no doubt. But they can't be stretched. They can't be stretched beyond a point. So confession, I have some issues with confession. See, the people who go to war, soldiers, etc., they come here, once they retire, they have serious psychological problems because they've shot people, point blank range. They've shot people, they've shot children, they've just shot women in Vietnam and all these places. So many. So they come back home and then they have to live with themselves. It is not possible to live with themselves. Many of them commit suicide. Very sad it is. What kind of confession will solve this problem? Even confession won't solve this problem, in my opinion. We have to talk, we have to interview all these people and find out. And so, I don't know. I have my serious doubts about confession and all. Whether it is used to somehow escape real punishment. I don't know. I don't know. Because you know what? In United Nations in the 1940s, 50s, etc., when they were coming up with this laws governing common behavior by countries, United Nations, United Nations. So what is construed as genocide? So they define what genocide is. In one of the items was cultural genocide. Means what? You don't kill people, but you kill people's culture. That's called cultural genocide. And you know what? It was part of the charter. But you know what the West did? They campaigned against it and they removed that item, line item. And therefore, cultural genocide was not part of the genocide United Nations Charter of Genocide. Because they knew they are doing it all over the world. They've been doing it forever, since 2000 years ago, and they're continuing to do it. And so they removed it from the United Nations. The amount of mischief they do, damage they keep doing under all these United this and this, it's just up. If you to get into the detail, I tell you, it's just himsa. It's just instruments meant to facilitate himsa. Colonization is himsa from start to finish. First of all, why do you want to leave your country and go to another country? First, tell me first. Tell me what is the reason for that.
Greed.
Greed, exactly. Goodness. And then develop.
Guruji, what do the scriptures ascribe for this asuric behavior or rakshasic behavior? What do they prescribe? What will make these people, I mean, not that you're going to change them or things like that, but this idea of prayashchittam and I'll get over it. Something is going to pardon me and I'm free to do it again. What do the Shastras say should be done? Because again, the karmic debt comes into picture. All the gunas come into picture. The Vedas come. So when a person is asuric or rakshasic, what do they're not going to listen to you anyway, even if the Shastras say something. So there is complete cut off. So is there no hope?
Yeah, again, dharma is important here, right? Here, dharma is important. We don't need to invoke Shastram also here, correct? Because dharma, people are all there. People are supposed to be reasonable beings. Human beings are supposed to be reasonable. And so you've got all these forums, just like in a family, there are 5 people, let's say. And, different likes and dislikes, everything, the chemistry is there. And then people have to jointly decide what's right for the family, what's not right, what should be postponed. Should we need a car? No, we can't afford a car, postpone. Somebody says, no. So, okay, we have to come to a common consensus. And so the countries have to decide. That's why you've got all these discussions going on these days. This is what I'm observing. And India is playing a bigger and bigger role because India's views are non-traditional. Non-traditional means what? Non-American, non-Western. And it's an Eastern view of things. And Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam and all. Donating the corona vaccine to 90 countries. India did it. The wealthiest countries hoarded. Okay. So this is difficult for people to handle. So we are making a splash here by all these acts. Modi is creating that mindset. Guys, we need to have if we want to have a forum, we need to really help people. We can't talk about just helping people. You have to do something. We have to show it. And what do you mean by helping? And so all these ideas he's bringing to the forefront. So it's all common sense. He doesn't say Hindus say that, the Vedas tells us to do this. No, he doesn't say all that. He doesn't have to say all that. And Vedas supports us in our dharma. So in these matters, Premaji, it's critical for countries to come together and deal with the elephant in the room. Really, there is an elephant in the room. How can you decimate cultures like this? Somebody has to ask. We have pyramids, but what happened to the people who built the pyramids? They don't exist today. The world is poorer today. And that's why Swamiji used to make a big statement. He used to say, the West is very good at destroying civilizations and preserving monuments.
Like the red Indians in America.
Huh?
The red Indians in America.
Yeah.
The Red Indians.
Where are they? Where are they?
Apaches.
All decimated, ruthlessly decimated. And then established, Lokamanya, this one, Acharya Vinoba Bhave wrote a book and he talks about some of these things. And he talks about the way the West has done is like they went to America, decimated it, people, and then established some whatever constitution country. It's like in India, you have trains flying, and then in trains, typically you have what's called a unreserved compartment. Unreserved means you can buy a ticket without reservation. You can go, if there is room, you can just hang and go. Hang yourself, just go inside and just in a corner you sit, you can go. They'll allow you to do that. But then, with some people go into the unreserved compartment, it is getting full, it is getting fuller. Immediately, what you do is you lock the doors from inside. Lock all the 4 doors of the compartment of the coach, and then establish your own country. Okay, now this is enough, guys. We're not going to let any of you in, and we've all come. We are the pioneers. We're the pioneers, and that's it. There's no more room in this country, in this coach. He gives this example. Acharya Vinoba Bhave. I remember this from 30 years ago. I read it somewhere. He says the West has done it like they went into the country. They first of all kicked out all the natives, decimated all the natives, gave them all kinds of diseases, and then they killed themselves over. And then you close the borders and say, we're going to call it America. Free, the land of the free. Land of the
They
free.
didn't even, yeah, but they didn't even know that they made a mistake. They thought it was India, they found.
They have got a concept.
They didn't know where they came. Huh?
It doesn't matter where they found, what they found, etc. The fact that I don't respect the natives of a land is just mind-boggling to me. It's like going to somebody's house and saying, now you're out. This house belongs to me. It's exactly like that. Very sad. Some good books are written on this. You all should study this book by very beautiful history textbook. It's called
Camel in the tent theory.
Huh?
Camel in the tent theory.
Camel in the tent.
Camel in the tent.
Camel in the Tent. Huh?
No, it's not the name of the book. What the camel does to the poor traveler. It's not like that. It cues the traveler out and goes inside the tent.
Oh, Camel in the Tent. Yeah. Correct. But this book, it's called Lies My Teacher Taught Me in School. It's about, this book is a fantastic read, and this author is so good. And he talks about all this. Columbus discovered America. Lie number 1. The child's life starts with the lie number 1. And then further lies he talks about. Beautiful book it is. It's downloadable. I think the PDF used to be available. If it's not available, let me know. I have a copy of that PDF. I have the book also with me. And it was a history book. And they banned this history book from schools in America. Because it's too truthful. Truth is bitter,
Guruji, there's a very beautiful.
What's the name? What's the name?
The name is Lies My Teacher Taught Me in something, in school or something.
Let alone that one, and even in India, and the Muslims, they invaded India. the story and the history what we read is completely different than actually the facts. Distorted history, and then the glorified Muslim emperors, they were all so cruel. And at the same time, great Ashoka is a pioneer, and then our history figure we don't read. There's nothing in this one. They want to celebrate Tipu Day, Jayanti, not the Ashoka Jayanti. What a sad situation we are in.
Yeah, so that's
There's a very beautiful book. There's a very beautiful book called The Silent Language, and it details how the handshake came, how the Chinese bow, how people hug with their shoulders, and it is all self-protection because there was no trust. That lack of trust was built over time by all this wrong thinking, and also the feeling, they exported all the criminals, etc., to Canada and to America. The UK did. Their criminals all they were thrown out and sent to Australia and England, to Canada and the US. So they didn't want bad factors for themselves, but let them go and do anything they want elsewhere. So it's self-preservation, haughtiness, and lack of understanding. They were just lack of understanding, ajnana, that you and I are not one. I only see the differences. What suits me, it agrees with me. And it's not every place. Japan has done it. China has done it. Everywhere. We cannot, we can neither eradicate it, nor how can you eradicate ajnana except with knowledge, but nobody's listening. Nobody wants to listen. They like it because whoever is benefiting likes it. The ones that did not benefit have neither the option to redeem it or to change it.
Yeah, the survival of the fittest.
It's just history.
Survival of the fittest attitude.
Correct.
And and so somebody says, one person, Will Durant or somebody says, I don't know who it is, he looks at the Indian situation and he says, they looked at all the Vedas and this and that. They've quickly learned that this is one of the greatest civilizations Earth has ever seen. And he saw the destruction wrought by the British and the Islamic invasions before that. And he says, look how fragile a civilization is, how fragile it is. Means a society that's committed to truth and ahimsa stands no chance. He says that such a society stands no chance in this world where people are vying for space. And like that he comments. And we can't give up, we can't just give up like that. So Dharma Rakshati Rakshitaha. So therefore we'll continue. That's all. You look at America, Canada, why are they good countries to live in today? Because the rule of law prevails, justice prevails. One of my friends in America told me, he said, I was complaining about something. And then he told me, Jay, look, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind fine. That's what he told me one day. Okay, means that justice is there. There is justice, and so justice is key to every country. And in our culture, the religion also just enshrines that justice. Yeah, that justice is called dharma, and dharma is part of a purushartha. Look at that. Purushartha is what human beings seek, and dharma is introduced. One of the purusharthas. That mullah said, dharma is not a purushartha for us. He said straight point blank. He said, you people are idiots. We are not like you. That is his
implication. Dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge, we just wait. What option do we have now?
This is the culture someone wants to destroy completely.
Yes, Ramaji.
But dharma rakshati rakshitaha. Therefore, that person, that whole culture epitomized by this vow, Maha Pratigna, Mahavratam called Ahimsa, that there is a culture like that must be preserved. The Western countries should say, there is no society like this. We should preserve these people like we preserved the, Indian reservations and all we have. They preserve. Maybe they should get that idea sometime. Right now, they are busy just lambasting India and Hinduism. So we'll see how long it lasts.
There are
Unfortunately,
lot of people
not necessarily the outside forces causing the damage. Even our own, so-called our own Hindus. Today, Stalin's son, he came out and said, we need to eradicate Hinduism.
They're all part of Dr. India.
Ramesh ji, I'm so impressed. You're following what Stalin's son said and all that. I'm very impressed.
Thank you. I felt so bad, so sorry to hear the situation. Each and every so-called politicians are coming and trying to destroy our Sanatana Dharma. Of all the greatest Dharma we have it. We don't need other outside people. Our own people, they're ready to gear it up to destroy our Sanatana Dharma.
He is
So
a
sad.
classic product, no? In any case.
So Ramesh ji, during the British time, there's something called Justice Party. Few people formed Justice Party, and this Justice Party did not, they were pro-British. They did not condone the Jallianwala Bagh killing. These people, these are so-called Brahmins, are my own people, okay, they are. And they did not condone Jallianwala Bagh massacre. At the time of independence, they said, don't make us independent. If you're going to give us independence, make Tamil Nadu a separate country. That's the these are descendants of those people. We have to go back to the basics, very basic. That's why I said education, history, and all become very important. And we have to pray a lot and we have to work very hard. These are the two things. We have to study a lot, work hard, and pray hard. These three things will really redeem us, I think. Premaji, in case you feel that we've reached the end of the road, no, we have not reached the end of the road.
No, not at all. We're in the middle of it. And especially with trying to have a conversation with someone who says, I don't believe in ahimsa, where do you go from there?
Right.
We're in square number one again.
I know.
We are victims, and we are also, we're trying to, resolve it, but dharma sansthapanartha is the only thing that comes to mind, because something very, very, very grand has to happen to change that focus.
Correct. That's a correct word. Grand. Something big has to happen. Yeah.
But one thing, can we remember that all the bads that are happening, and God is there to punish them. And so, instead of taking it on in our hands, we are leaving it to the Almighty. And He is the one who will, and you see what is happening these days, the Western countries and all that, there's so much suffering. Why is it happening? It's because there is someone who is giving the karma phala.
Yeah, they talk like that sometimes.
If we all take the vows of doing ourselves the Atma Kripa, then, things will get better.
Yeah.
And teach.
Right. So some people say that, with the Indian economy picking up versus British economy, etc., they say, British colonization, all the loot they talk about these days, a lot of articles are coming about the loot, colonial loot, and this many $1 trillion that they talk about all these things.
Yeah.
And so at least there is some awareness to all these things. And I mean, we are conscious beings living in society, and we know what dharma is. Every human mind knows what dharma is, what is right and wrong. And
Exactly.
it's just that we organize ourselves into a group, and then now let's go and attack. And so as a group, we can go and transgress dharma. As an individual, I'm very weak, So now we can all organize ourselves. And so I think within this geopolitics is changing, and there's going to be some interesting future is going to be very interesting, I feel. And yeah, your point also is well taken, which is that karma comes back.
Yeah.
Karma, yeah.
So instead, that's why I'm saying, if we start changing ourselves in a faster growth, and when people see at the people, us, and they will start, oh, okay, so why is she happy? Why, things like that will certainly come to them. And that's the hope we have, because you or I or anybody else cannot fix the whole world. So now that I know I cut
We cannot fix the world,
but
at
just
least.
have one question. What does it mean by Vasudeva Kutumbakam?
Okay. Anu, just 1 minute. The thing is, they are not willing to change themselves, and they don't care if you suffer. That's the point you're trying to say. So when they look at you and they see you're doing something right, to even expect that they will say, okay, how can I be like her? It'll be like, oh, she's happy. Let's see what I can do to hurt. That's the attitude, the mentality. So
I don't know.
like I said, the focus has to change.
Yeah.
No, but the focus has to change, but it's a slow process too.
Yeah, so both aspects are needed, right? Suppose there is a serial killer in your neighborhood. What do? Sit and pray? Prayer is important, no doubt. Prayer is always important. But serial killer in the neighborhood, he gets at children and women or girls, suppose. This is the sixth time. Sixth murder has happened. Then what do? We can't. There are certain things which require us to act now. Okay? Now, so therefore, we have a role to play. Each of us has a role to play, singly and collectively, both, to uphold dharma, whatever dharma is applicable in that particular situation and time and place, etc. And so that's always that, and we do that. That's why that's why I like countries like America, because the dharma for a common person, the dharma is easier. People don't have to bribe, and the cop on the street is straightforward, and he does his job exactly whatever is to be done. He does. That's beautiful. Somebody coming from India going there, it's just a joy to see all this. And because here we struggle with some basics also. And we talk so much about Vedas and all, but we struggle with basics sometimes, right? And so sometimes
to me, if we stay in the past all the time, that what has happened, then like what Nelson Mandela said, that to the blacks, that you just don't sit and cry what happened to us, like how many years ago. You just have to build yourself up. And I feel that very much, that this crying business of, oh, what we had we don't have now, instead of that, try to do something which will be better.
no, that's what it is exactly. So we are looking forward to the future. We are not here to punish the British or Muslims or this and that. Not like that. We have to look. We have to learn from the past. The reason we talk about the past is to learn from the past.
Yes.
As they say, he who forgets history is doomed to repeat it, right? And so we have to learn from the past, and that's what our Germans said. Okay, we had a Hitler, and then they have museums on this thing. They say this is the past, guys. This was our past, and so now we better poison up, so we don't repeat that mistake. And so that's the idea. Yeah, definitely, we are looking forward, and we are quoting the past because it's a past that's been suppressed from us. We never knew all these things, and then things are coming to the
up. Yeah, I understand
whole
that. Yeah.
coming up.
But some people has a tendency to stay in the past all
Right.
the time,
Right.
That's what I meant by, yeah.
Right. So forward
Anyway,
means what?
you owe me that meaning, so I'll wait for that. Let Shanti ji ask hers.
Yeah, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is
Yes.
So Kutumba means family. Kutumba is family. Okay. Vasudha means Prithvi, means Dharti. Dharti ek kutumb hai. Means, I mean, Hindi, I think that you know Hindi, but sometimes you might not, you may or may not know also. I don't know. You don't know that much Hindi, or do you, Anuradha?
Well, not all the words, no. What did you say? Earth, ek?
Earth. So Vasudha, Prithvi, Dharti means earth. Vasudha means earth. The earth is one family. That's the meaning of that phrase.
Okay.
Earth is one family. And it is used to highlight a fact, highlight something that is forgotten. Every country protects its borders and then building arms and then up to the, it's arming itself and then trying to go out at the other. And then we're saying, guys, let's relax a little bit. Let's relax. Let's change our vision. Like that, it's supposed to help us see the whole world as a family, one family. And it seems ideal, seems like an ideal, right? But for in our Veda, it's not an ideal, it's a truism. It's a truism. Even if you don't think it is one family, it is really one family only. And you just happen to be, all the members are fighting amongst each other. That's all is the thing.
So that's why Modi ji used it?
Correct. It's popularly quoted by many Indians and especially Modi ji in international forums, etc. He does that.
Okay.
But he backs it up with what he means by that, because otherwise it's just a statement. And he will use it to talk about maybe this environmental goals or health goals of the world, people, how we should, and then Africa, inequality in these kinds of things. He will literally talk about, and you can only talk about it only if the Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam is already there in the head. America doesn't talk about poverty in Africa, ever, never. But only the person who is sensitive to suffering all over can say, you know what? Why is Africa so poor? Can we help Africa? Okay, let's help ourselves first, and then let's focus on Africa. That with the courage, with the conviction, we can say that. Okay, because for us it's automatic. Because Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, it's automatic. You don't have to get somebody's permission to help another country. United Nations has to sign off on this. Some things United Nations does not have to sign off.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Shanti, Kumar Shanti, go ahead.
Namaste, Guruji. And we just now learned that we don't have control over parentage, our birth, and all those things in Apariharya. But if I'm right, I read the Devatin Kural where Mahapariva told that the particular baby is born to those parents so that it has to do away with its prarabdha.
Correct. So what you said is correct. So what Shanti, we should call you Shanti, no? Shanti, right. So Shanti is telling the right thing. She's saying that there is a reason why I'm born to my parents. All of us are born to our set of parents, right? There is a reason for that. Our own karma and their karma, everything interacting and all, this is the right combination. Okay? Correct. But when we say you don't have choice, what we mean is, like I choose so many things in my life today. Today I'm going to choose what I want to do, etc. Okay, certain things we can choose. I can choose what to cook for dinner, right? We can choose. We're all going to choose tonight. So all that we do. So there's a lot of choice involved in many things, many things, including the education for our child. You know, where which college they want to go, etc. We choose. We do our research and we choose. What can we afford? Good school can't afford. Good school affordable. Okay, let's go there. All this we choose. Like that, we don't choose our parents. That's what we meant. Like that, we don't choose it. You know, I think next Denmark, I want to be born as a Bengali in Calcutta. And nobody says that. Nobody says that. Why nobody says that? Because it's not possible for me to choose. The law chooses it for me. Bhagavan chooses for me based on my karma, which is complicated. And so, in fact, we can't even choose. You know, I think I like this human life. I want to be born as a human being next Denmark. That would be nice, no? No, sorry. That also we don't have control. So that's what we mean, Shanti. Yes, it's all finally our own karma. Yes, finally our own karma builds up. And then the karma decides some of these things, which actually only reinforces the fact that I have to be very choosy in my choices. Very choosy. Just because somebody is not looking, I can't afford to do something, you know. Good question. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah, right. All right. Garudan Tuku. Okay. Yeah, there are a lot of traditions which have that's that particular community's way of showing their devotion to God. Okay, and so they will do all these things. They will say, I running on coal and hanging on these things, etc. That's their way of showing their bhakti. They won't be doing it throughout the year. Only on that one day. That's it. See, if the guy is constantly hurting himself, you'll watch him do funny things throughout the year. But no, that one particular day. That's, yeah, Vaidya, go ahead.
Yeah, Jaykumarji, about this Justice Party that you mentioned, I think you might have said something incorrectly. It was not founded by Brahmins.
Oh, it is not. Okay.
No. What happened was, because Brahmins embraced English education more than others, what happened was all the district collectors, deputy collectors, talukdars and so on, very often were Brahmins.
Okay.
So some of the non-Brahmin castes found this intolerable.
Okay.
So they were the ones who started the Justice Party.
Jamindars, they started this. Mudaliyars, Nadars, and all this thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what happened was there was this Montagu-Chelmsford reforms.
Yes.
Which gave some partial power to Indians. But Congress did not accept that because it was not, enough. It was just a namesake only. So during that time, this Justice Party, came to power in Tamil Nadu, in Madras presidency.
Correct.
And then only in the 1937 elections, Congress, stood in that election and then they won.
Correct. Okay.
So Congress had people like, Rajagopalachari and others. It was cross-section of India, you can say. They had Kamaraj and others. So they had both Brahmins and non-Brahmins, and So that's it. The Justice Party is the ancestor of DMK.
Yeah. So Justice Party was the first anti-Brahmin kind of party.
From that DK came, from that DMK came, AIDMK came.
Yeah. Good. So yeah, it's good to know.
It was also in short sponsored by British only.
Okay.
Like the Congress party, which was sponsored by British.
Yeah. Anything divisive is to be sponsored. Yeah. That's the mantra. That's the mantra. Anything divisive, sponsor. It's good if India and Pakistan are always warring against each other.
They created that for that. Divided Pakistan, even started in 30s itself by this thing. Client.
So it's all very immature, right? Immature. So we have a long way to go here. Even basics, we are making mistakes in the basics. So I suppose that's
someone commented recently that India's democracy is still in infancy, because we still have a tendency to attach everything to politics.
Oh.
So that was a comment from Swami.
Oh, I see. Okay, I don't know what that means, but good. All right. So that's a good discussion. Yeah, one more question. Meera Narayan.
Not really a question, Guruji. I was just making a remark. Rameshji mentioned about Ashoka Samrat, and the Ashoka Samrat was supposed to have converted to Buddhism because of the Kalinga War. But unfortunately, the Kalinga War happened 5 years after he converted to Buddhism.
Correct. So he was not available, right?
No. So that entire thing saying that because of so much of killing that happened because of Hinduism, he converted to Buddhism. The whole thing is fake. He was a Buddhist when Kalinga War happened.
Correct. Good point. Yeah, you're right.
See, my point was Ashoka, one of the greatest emperor of the Indian history, except his emblem and in our constitution, nowhere it is celebrated like a national day or anything. Now, in the Congress government in Karnataka, they want to celebrate Tipu Jayanti, giving the holiday and everything. Great emperors like Ashoka, they're not even considering celebrating. That was my point.
Yeah, there's a list is huge. Vijayanagaram Empire, nobody knows. Ahom Empire, Assam, nobody knows. Nobody hasn't heard of this also. And like this kingdoms and kings who sacrificed their lives for the country, they built the civilization. They sustained the civilization. We don't hear anything about it. Raj Vedvam has a beautiful slide. He has a slide which says, he talks about all the different universities we had, Takshashila, Nalanda and all that. That's not only two, the many universities. The whole geography is dotted with great universities, Ujjain, Kanchipuram, like this, okay? Many, all over. And these things happened long ago, 2000 plus, 3000, 4000 years ago. And then he discusses all this. Then he shows a slide. He says, if you look at our history textbooks, it starts with Islamic invasions. Okay. And so before that Islamic invasion, what was India? And then he shows the India map. There's nothing in the India map. Just a blank India map. Nothing. Nothing is there, They were nobody. All these universities gone. All the temples gone, missing. All the thinkers, philosophies, all the metallurgy knowledge that we had gone. Nothing is there. And then these guys came, and then they came to steal stuff from us. Something must be there with us in order for somebody to come and take away. No. And then finally the British came and civilized all of us. So that's a nice story, Anyway, good. So nice discussion, and we will continue the next class. Thank you all very much. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dhanvantaraye Amritakalashahastaya Sarvamaya Vinashanaya Trailokyanataya Shri Mahavishnave Namaha.